Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3875, and today's date is April 2nd, 2026, and the title of the episode is, Did Scavino Trump send a message about the 16th Amendment and the Federal Reserve? Now, we all know Wall Street doesn't lose money on sell-offs. You do. They create the panic, wait for you to dump your position out of fear, and scoop it up at a discount. The big banks aren't selling their gold, they're buying yours. Every time the headlines scream, regular people sell, every time regular people sell, the institutions are right there, waiting with open hands. You built portfolio insurance for a reason. Don't let a red day hand it over to the people who cause it. That's why I tell people to talk to Noble Gold Investments. They will help you build a long-term plan and, more importantly, help you stick to it when the noise gets loud. The minors' up and downs, that's weather. The long-term trend, that's climate. And the climate has been favoring gold for 5,000 years. So the next time you see a dip and you feel that knot in your stomach, ask yourself one question. Am I making this decision, or is Wall Street making it for me? Don't let them shake you out of the position you built to protect yourself. That's exactly what they want. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands, that's the whole point. Go to x22gold.com. That is x22gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum. You could see at this time those states that are becoming very desperate, they're going to go after people's assets. And what's very interesting is that they kept convincing people that Bitcoin was only used by criminals. Bitcoin is no good. But when they need actual money, what do? They go after people's Bitcoin, which I find very, very interesting. Remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where California passed a bill to seize Bitcoin left idle on exchanges. After 3 years of inactivity, assets can be taken by the state under unclaimed property laws. Basically, they just want to take your money. Now, of course, if they attempted to take that money from the banking system and they went into your bank because there was no activity within 3 years, people would be outraged. People would say, oh my, they're stealing from me. But if they take it from Bitcoin because you weren't active in your account for 3 years, people don't see it that way. Well, maybe some do. But again, why did they go after Bitcoin? Why? Because it has incredible value. Plus, they can't go after people's bank accounts at this point in time. And just because an account is inactive doesn't mean you're not active in holding that Bitcoin. There are a lot of people that just hold. They don't add to it. They just leave it. And the state, the government, has no right to go get your assets. But you could see why they're so desperate. They're desperate because they're not getting the federal funds they got before. They're desperate because businesses are leaving. They're desperate because people are leaving. They're desperate because their tax base is disappearing. And if they raise taxes again, what happens? They lose more people. This is why they're going after Bitcoin. Now, of course, they're going after the exchanges. Now, personally, I would not recommend keeping any Bitcoin in exchanges. I would do it in a personal wallet, something maybe like Rumble Wallet or something like that. Something that they cannot touch. See, exchange is a little bit different. So for those people that have any type of cryptocurrency in exchange, I would move it to a wallet, a personal wallet, and not in the exchange system. So basically, you could see why they're doing this. And California is in trouble. California is basically treading water right now. And every day that passes is just going to get worse and worse for them. And you can see it already is. But for the people of this country, you could see that Trump's one big beautiful bill and his tax cuts, they are really helping the people. And this is what's very, very important, because the people, they're going to feel absolutely incredible as the midterms approach. And Trump, yes, set this all up, prepared everyone, because again, he needs the people on his side. It's not just to win the midterms, which is very, very important, because without the midterms, how are we going to get rid of the Federal Reserve? But he needs the people to be on his side after the midterms, when we go after the Federal Reserve. And I do believe Trump and Scavino, they sent a message out letting everyone know that this is the direction that we are definitely heading in. Because Trump, he placed a certain picture right above the door where he exits and enters the Oval Office, which is very, very interesting. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Trump tax cuts, because Stephen Moore breaks it down for us and shows us that it's absolutely working. He says after Trump tax cuts, the share of taxes paid by the rich went up. Data from the House Ways and Means Committee shows lower income Americans saw larger tax relief. Facts matter even if Democrats won't admit it. So when we take a look at this, what are we looking at? Well, share of income taxes with the working family tax cuts. Top 1%, 38.5% to 40.1%. Top 10%, 70.1% to 76.7%. Unbelievable. And then when you look at the working family tax cut provide the biggest relief to low income families, under 50,000, minus 14%, 50 to 100,000, minus 12%, 100,000 to 500,000, minus 10%. So basically, it is helping the everyday person. And once again, it's doing the opposite of what the D's normally do. And what do they normally do? They say they're going to tax the rich, but really what happens is the rich aren't taxed and the upper, middle, lower class people are normally taxed and the poor are normally taxed. So you can see Trump has turned everything around. And I do believe this is why he began with no taxes on tips, no tax on Social Security, no taxes on overtime, because again, he's not going to the wealthy and giving their taxes back. He's going from the bottom and working his way up, which is the complete and utter opposite of what the central bank did when they came into existence. They started at the top to convince everyone that this is really cool. We'll tax the wealthy, they'll pay for everything, and everyone else doesn't have to worry. And of course, as we all know, what happened? Everyone got taxed. It was a gigantic scam that they played on the American people. And you could see that this scam is going to be coming to an end. And this is why Trump has set everything up to get the people on his side. Because without the people on his side, he's not going to be able to take this to the next level, the next phase of the plan. And the next phase is to basically reverse everything that was done in this country. And if you actually step back and you take a look at the 40,000-foot view here, you could see that's exactly what Trump is doing. Everything that they set up to maintain the petrodollar system, everything they did to make sure that the Federal Reserve created currency, and the Federal Reserve, they didn't actually collect it, but the money had to be collected to pay for the interest on the money that was borrowed. And basically, he's reversing the tax that has been put on the people. This is why he created the parallel economic system, because he's bringing in currency externally to counter that income tax, that internal tax that has been put on the people. So he built a parallel system. He's competing with the Federal Reserve. He's going to shift us away from. Now, we all know Wall Street doesn't lose money on sell-offs. You do. They create the panic, wait for you to dump your position out of fear and scoop it up at a discount. The big banks aren't selling their gold. They're buying yours. Every time the headlines scream, regular people sell, every time regular people sell, the institutions are right there, waiting with open hands. You built portfolio insurance for a reason. Don't let a red day hand it over to the people who cause it. That's why I tell people to talk to Noble Gold Investments. They will help you build a long-term plan and, more importantly, help you stick to it when the noise gets loud. The minors' up and downs, that's weather. The long-term trend, that's climate. And the climate has been favoring gold for 5,000 years. So the next time you see a dip and you feel that knot in your stomach, ask yourself one question. Am I making this decision, or is Wall Street making it for me? Don't let them shake you out of the position you built to protect yourself. That's exactly what they want. And right now, all new qualified accounts receive a 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real gold in your hands. That's the whole point. Go to X22Gold.com. That is X22Gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. An income tax, which is taken in internally, moving us to an external funding system to fund the government. The central bank bloated the government. Trump now is shrinking the government. Trump now is breaking up the petrodollar system across the world. That is what we're witnessing right now. Everything that they set up back in the 60s into the 70s, where they made the Middle East the hub of the petrodollar system, Trump now is basically dismantling it step by step. That's what this is all about. And he timed it perfectly. Borovic explains Trump is playing 4D chess. War ends, oil drops. Inflation collapses. Powell out, Kevin Warsh cuts rates. Liquidity floods into the economy. Markets gigapump, including crypto. Right into midterms. Republican sweep, that's the plan. And I do believe that on a high level, that is the plan to actually allow us to take control of the House and Senate, because we need the control of the House and Senate to do what? To actually remove the Federal Reserve. And I do believe that is Trump's long-term goal here. And this is why in the beginning stages right now, he's basically dismantling everything that they set up to make it even easier. Because again, when you have full leverage over a money printing system and a system that controls not just the United States, but a lot of the countries around the world, when you have the leverage against them and you can use it against them, that means you have the power. It means we don't have to be threatened by them and we don't have to worry, because Trump has a system that can operate without them. Without the parallel economic system that he's creating, how do you get rid of the Federal Reserve? Because you have no other way of bringing income in. What do you say? Hey, we're just going to go back to gold and silver. The country needs to always have income coming in one way or another. I mean, think about your household. Can you just have credit cards? Can you just keep borrowing without income coming in? No, you need the income. Actually, if you get rid of the credit cards and you just have the income, your household is better off. Now, people are going to say, well, that's just impossible. You can't do that, not with the way everything costs today. Well, no, you're thinking of the central bank illusionary system that we're in today. But when you have your buying power back, just like before the central bank, yes, you were able to live on the money that you were bringing in. You didn't need extra credit. You didn't need what we have today, payment plans and everything else. You didn't have to lease. You didn't have to do what you're doing today. It was very, very different. A penny was worth a lot more than just 1 cent, because you'd be able to go into a store and buy a lot for that penny. Today, they can't even make the penny. That means the currency has lost its value, and it's getting worse and worse every single day. And I think people are seeing this. And again, didn't start with Trump. Actually, it didn't start with Biden. Actually, if you go back to 1971, when we came off the gold standard, that's when the fiat system actually really began. Yes, it came into existence in 1913, but we were still on the gold standard, and they were prepping the entire country. And basically, through World War II, they made us the reserve currency. It used to be the UK. The United States became the reserve currency. 1971, we came off the gold standard. We went full fiat. Corruption really went out of whack, and they started their entire agenda in basically destroying America, because I do believe that was their plan from the very, very beginning. Not to assist, not to help, not to benefit the people, but in the long run, they needed a way to corrupt the entire system. They needed a way to get their people in there. They needed a way to basically use the financial system to destroy the entire country. And this is what they've been doing every step of the way. And we could see that Trump now, he's preparing to basically shut it all down and bring us back to the Constitution, liberate us from the Federal Reserve. I think this is what this is all about. And what's very interesting is that Dan Scavino, he put up a video, and it shows Trump walking through the doors, and above the doors is William Taft. Now, that is very, very interesting. And it looks like, Trump is going out to make the speech. But just like Gizmo put this out and said, Trump said 2 to 3 weeks longer for Operation Epic Fury. 2 weeks from today is April 15th. And interesting, considering the giant Taft portrait above the door. And William Taft, he has a very interesting history, because he explicitly recommended the 16th Amendment. And he supported banking, currency reform, and included a central bank-like system, though the Federal Reserve Act itself passed after he left office. On June 16, 1909, Taft sent a formal message to Congress during a debate over the Payne-Aldrich tariff. He recommended that both houses pass, by 2/3 vote, a joint resolution proposing a constitutional amendment giving the federal government power to levy and collect an income tax without apportionment among the states according to population. This was the direct origin of the 16th Amendment, which Congress proposed in 1909 and the states ratified in 1913, just after Taft left office. Primary sources and every major history confirm he was the key proponent. He publicly endorsed the Aldrich Plan, 1911, the Republican-led proposal for the National Monetary Commission for a centralized National Reserve Association, essentially a central bank with regional branches, banker influence, and government oversight. Taft and Republican leaders backed his framework. The Democrat version, Federal Reserve Act, passed in December 1913 under Wilson. But the core idea of central banking system had Taft's support while he was president. So it looks like he kicked it off, and then eventually Woodrow Wilson actually signed the thing, and it looked like he signed it around the latter part of 1913, like I think it was like during Christmas or New Year's, where Congress pretty much left and he was left behind. And he signed it, and that ushered in the Federal Reserve System. And remember, this is the third central bank in this country. So was Dan Scavino and Trump sending us a message that, yeah, we're going to be ending the Federal Reserve System, we're going to be going back to the Constitution? It's starting to seem that way because, again, you could see they put out very, very specific videos, pictures, and Trump hangs the pictures in certain locations on purpose. So I do believe that when all said and done, we're going to see, once Trump basically dismantles the deep state, the central bank system across the globe, he's going to gain more and more leverage as time goes on. I mean, think about it. Already with the One Big Beautiful Bill and his tax cuts, he's already giving people their buying power back. When he takes this to the next level and he announces that people are going to get their buying power back in the way of removing the income tax. Now, do I think he's going to remove income tax from every single person? No, I think he's going to start from the bottom up, just like he did with no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on overtime. Don't know what the exact bracket will be, but he'll make up a bracket because he already mentioned it before that in the near future, tariffs will be able to pay for the government. We can get rid of the income tax. We can replace it. And I do believe he's preparing for all this. Now, you just can't do it because, again, you have to basically dismantle the old system and leave it as an empty shell while the new system comes online. It's almost, and I used this example before, when you're creating a new bridge, you don't knock down the old bridge and you wait until the new bridge is put up. You leave the old bridge there, and slowly but surely, right next to it, you create the new bridge. You keep the traffic flowing. You keep everything operational. You make sure the entire system is running where cars can get back and forth across the river. And as soon as the old bridge is no longer useful and the new bridge, which is much wider, much stronger, much bigger, once that is then created, you can knock down the old system. And I think that's what Trump is doing right now. He's building the bridge right next to the central bank system. The new one, the new system, is getting stronger. It'll be wider. The money will come in externally. It'll be more powerful. The people can control it. No one entity owns it. It's the people's system. And I do believe Trump did this because, again, if he just shut down the central bank system, the entire economic system would completely and utterly fall apart. So you build the bridge parallel to the other system, which he's doing. And once you have it complete, once it comes online, once you have full control and everything else is dismantled, you then start to destroy the old system. And I do believe that's exactly what Trump is going to do. And this is why he's going about his entire mission across the globe. Remember, yes, there's also terrorists and other things. But when you really look at it from an economic standpoint, you can see exactly what he is doing right now. And he's evening the playing field, showing that, hey, you're going to stay in China. Well, you're not going to get that cheap energy. Your costs are going to go up in China. So now you're going to have to make a decision. Now you're paying additional costs. Now you're paying tariffs. Do you want to stay in China? Or do you want to come to where the cheaper energy is? Do you want reduced regulation, reduced taxes, and there are no tariffs whatsoever? I think he's putting so much pressure on all these manufacturers and a lot of pressure on China that I think the decision is going to become very, very clear, and he's going to force the companies back to this country. And you could see this is why Trump now is doing what he's doing, because he's basically dismantling the old system and bringing us into his new one. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.